Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're about to embark on a journey that's close to my heart, transforming ordinary IKEA pieces into timeless, vintage treasures. You know I love a good DIY project, and there's just something so satisfying about taking something simple and giving it a whole new life, a story to tell. So, if you're ready to infuse your home with that cozy, collected over time charm, grab your paintbrushes and let's get started. We're kicking things off with the ever-versatile IVAR cabinet, a staple from IKEA that offers endless possibilities for customization. Now, this piece is a blank canvas just begging for some character. Its simplicity is its strength, allowing us to transform it into something truly unique. First things first, let's give it a rich, deep green or maybe a sunny mustard paint job. These colors can really set the tone and mood for the entire piece. Now, to really transport this cabinet back in time, we're swapping out the hardware with some vintage-inspired knobs. This small change can make a big impact. Think brass or something with an antique finish. These details add a touch of elegance and history to the piece, and here's where we add that extra touch of charm decorative molding or some pretty wood appliques on the cabinet doors. These elements can elevate the design. You know, like the ones you find in those charming antique shops? They have a way of making everything feel more special and curated. To really open things up and let the light in, let's replace those solid doors with glass panes. This not only modernizes the piece, but also makes it more functional. Imagine displaying your favorite vintage china or a collection of antique books. These items can add a personal touch and tell a story. It's all about creating those little vignettes that tell a story. Each shelf can be a new chapter, filled with memories and treasures. And just like that, you've got yourself a statement piece that's both functional and full of vintage charm. It's a perfect blend of old and new, making it a standout in any room. Next up, we're giving the humble lack table a mid-century modern makeover. This transformation will turn a simple piece into a stylish focal point for any room. Don't let its simplicity fool you. This little table has hidden potential. With a few thoughtful changes, it can become a standout piece. The key here is all in the legs. By changing the legs, we can completely alter the table's aesthetic and functionality. We're swapping out those basic legs with some sleek tapered ones in a warm walnut or oak finish. These new legs will give the table a more refined and elegant look. It's amazing what a difference the right legs can make. They not only change the look but also the feel of the table. And for the tabletop, let's give it some richness and texture with a wood grain contact paper. This simple addition can make the table look much more expensive and sophisticated. It's an easy way to add that mid-century vibe without breaking the bank. The contact paper is budget-friendly and easy to apply, making it perfect for a quick DIY project. Now, if you want to take it up a notch, consider adding a glass top or even some brass edge trim. These additions can give the table a more polished and high-end look. It's all about those little details that elevate the look. The brass edge trim adds a touch of luxury, while the glass top provides a sleek, modern finish. With a few simple swaps, you've got yourself a stylish coffee table that's perfect for your morning cup of joe or an evening cocktail hour. This transformation shows how easy it is to create a custom piece that fits your style and needs. Now, who doesn't love a good apothecary cabinet? They add so much character and charm to a space. And the best part is, you can recreate that look with a few simple moppy drawers. Start by stacking those little drawers to your desired height. Then we're going to give them a rich, dark walnut stain. It's amazing how a little stain can transform these basic drawers into something special. And of course, no apothecary cabinet is complete without those charming little labels. Add some label holders or even some vintage-style pulls to each drawer. This piece is perfect for storing all sorts of treasures, from trinkets and keys to those vintage finds you hold dear. Place it in your living room, entryway, or even your bathroom for a touch of vintage charm. Chapter 4. Billy Bookcase gets a vintage makeover, creating a cozy reading nook. The Billy Bookcase. It's an IKEA classic, known for its versatility and simplicity. And while it's great for storage, we can easily give it that vintage charm we love, transforming it into a centerpiece. Let's start by painting it in a warm cream or a soft pale blue. These colors evoke a sense of calm and nostalgia. Then we'll use a bit of sandpaper to distress the edges, giving it that perfectly imperfect, worn-in look. This technique adds character and a touch of history to the piece. To enhance that classic feel, let's add some crown molding along the top. This simple addition can make a big difference, adding elegance and a refined touch. It's amazing how such a simple addition can elevate the entire piece, making it look custom and unique. And for a final touch of vintage charm, let's wallpaper the back panel. This adds depth and visual interest. Think floral patterns, toile, or even a vintage map. These designs can transport you to another era, adding to the cozy ambiance. It's all about creating that cozy library feel, a space where you can escape and unwind. Now just add your favorite books, some comfy throws, and perhaps a soft rug. You've got yourself the perfect spot to curl up with a good read, a sanctuary in your own home. Chapter 5. From Dresser to Distressed RAST Hack for a Charming Cottage Nightstand. This next hack is all about embracing that charming cottage style. We're taking the simple RAST dresser and giving it a complete makeover. First, let's replace the existing hardware with some vintage-inspired knobs or pulls. Think delicate floral designs or something with a bit of patina. Now, let's give it that time-worn look with some chalk paint. Choose a color that speaks to you, maybe a soft sage green or a dusty blue. And don't be afraid to distress the edges a bit with some sandpaper. It's all about creating that lived-in vintage charm. For an extra touch of whimsy, consider adding a floral stencil to the drawer fronts or painting each drawer a slightly different shade of pastel. It's those little details that make all the difference. Chapter 6. PAX Wardrobe Transformation, creating a vintage-inspired dream closet. Now, let's talk about transforming the PAX wardrobe system into a vintage-inspired dream closet. This hack is all about adding those custom details that make it feel truly special. We'll start by adding some paneling and decorative trim to the doors. This instantly elevates the look and gives it that vintage feel. Next, let's choose a paint color that exudes vintage charm. I'm thinking a dusty pink, a soft sage green, or even a classic navy. And for the hardware, let's go with something elegant and timeless like brass knobs or pulls. But here's the secret ingredient, lining the interior with vintage wallpaper. It's that unexpected touch of whimsy that makes you smile every time you open the doors. Chapter 7. Rascog Gets Rolling, creating a vintage-inspired bar cart. Who doesn't love a good bar cart? It's the perfect way to add a touch of vintage glamour to your space, and the Rascog utility cart is the perfect blank canvas for this hack. Let's start by giving it a sophisticated makeover with some spray paint. Think antique brass, distressed bronze, or even a classic black. Now let's add those vintage touches. Place your favorite glassware on the shelves along with some vintage-inspired cocktail shakers and stirrers. For an extra touch of elegance, consider adding a wood or marble top to the cart. And don't forget to line the shelves with some faux leather or patterned contact paper. It's all about those little details that make it feel special. Chapter 8. Ekby Alex Goes Vintage, creating a charming entryway bench. For this hack, we're turning the Ekby Alex drawers and some wooden legs into a charming entryway bench with hidden storage. First things first, let's attach some tapered, mid-century style legs to those Ekby Alex drawers. It's amazing how the right legs can transform a simple piece. Now let's give it a coat of paint in a rich, inviting color. I'm thinking a deep navy, a forest green, or even a classic black. And for the hardware, let's go with something that adds a touch of vintage charm, like brass or crystal knobs. This little bench is perfect for adding a touch of vintage style to your entryway while providing extra storage for shoes, bags, or anything else you need to tuck away. Chapter 9. Tarva Dresser Transformation, creating a French country dream. Let's transport ourselves to the French countryside with this next hack. We're giving the Tarva dresser a charming French country makeover. To achieve that rustic farmhouse look, let's start by adding some wooden appliques to the drawer fronts. You can find these at most craft stores or even salvage them from old furniture pieces. Now let's give it a coat of paint in a matte, muted color. Think French blue, antique white, or even a soft gray. And don't be afraid to distress the edges a bit with some sandpaper to enhance that time-worn look. To complete the transformation, let's replace the existing knobs with some ornate metal pulls. And for the finishing touch, place some vintage-inspired decor pieces on top, like candlesticks, small framed art, or a vase of fresh flowers. Chapter 10. Malm Dressing Table Makeover, creating an elegant vintage vanity. For our final hack, we're transforming the Malm dressing table into an elegant vintage vanity. Let's start by adding some trim to the edges of the tabletop and drawer fronts. This will instantly elevate the look and give it that vintage feel. Now let's choose a paint color that exudes elegance and sophistication. I'm thinking a dusty lavender, a soft gray, or even a classic black. And for the hardware, let's go with something glamorous, like glass knobs or pulls. To complete the look, let's add a scalloped mirror and a tufted stool. And for an extra touch of femininity, line the drawers with some floral patterned paper. Now you have a dedicated space to get ready each morning that makes you feel like you've stepped back in time. Well, there you have it. 10 IKEA hacks that will help you infuse your home with vintage charm and character. Remember, it's all about those personal touches that make a house a home. Don't be afraid to experiment, get creative, and let your own style shine through. And most importantly, have fun with it. Because when you put your heart into a project, it shows. Thanks for joining me on this vintage adventure, and I can't wait to see what you create.